Let's Achieve Change is a podcast by Pamela Grove, Doctor of Physical Therapy, Pain and Movement Specialist of Metanoia Education and Wellness Center. I propose to be that advocacy channel, making you aware, bringing the public more information on health and wellness topics, especially as it pertains to chronic pain and disabilities. I would like to be that voice for those silent sufferers out there who are not able to speak for themselves. If you'd like to know more about Let's Achieve Change, please visit our website at changeachieve.com or pamelagrove.com. If you'd like to be a speaker or you know someone else who wants to be a speaker, also visit the website and leave your email information and we will be in touch with you as soon as possible. Let's Achieve Change will air every 2 to 3 weeks, bringing you various topics on health and wellness and making the public more aware of issues that are not being discussed. We thank you very much for tuning in. Hello. Thank you for joining me today on Let's Achieve Change. I'm Pamela Grove, Doctor of Physical Therapy, Pain and Movement Specialist of Metanoia Education and Wellness Center. Listen, if you want to make some changes, you have tuned into the right podcast. Now listen, don't forget to hit that notification button so that you can subscribe and you won't miss any future episodes on some changes you might want to make. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are now in episode 6 of the season on autoimmune disorders. I just feel as if we just started this and it's already episode 6. And I still feel as if I don't have enough time to cover everything I want to cover because of this vast topic. But we must conclude it at some point, right? I'm still so grateful for all the guests that are coming on because they bring their personal experience to this topic that is so greatly in the need of more research. So we're going to continue to do that. And we do have a guest coming on today. So I don't want to take up too much time. But I do want to talk about, before I do bring on Kim today, we do want to bring up some more vital information about autoimmune disorders. First thing I want to talk about is the fact that I read today that there are people who, and I can attest for this with my daughter as well, who can go for years with symptoms before getting a diagnosis. And so I think it's just something about the inflammatory markers will not always be positive, always the first time. So I'm saying this to say that if you're having symptoms ongoing and you're getting negatives after negative, but you still have the ongoing symptoms, it might behoove you to be very adamant in demanding more testing or to even switch your physicians if that's necessary. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit more today. I'm going to go into more today about nutrition. I did talk last week on more about stress. I want to remind you that you can have a genetic disposition for autoimmune disorders, but it doesn't always mean that you have a genetic disposition. What does that mean? That means that a person could have someone who may be in their genetic line, that in their links in heredity, in their line, their family line, that had the symptoms that they also present with. But even with that being said, the studies are also still showing that even if you do have a genetic disposition or you don't, that you can still have an environmental trigger, whether that's from an infection or from the toxicity exposure of chemicals in the environment, from stress, which is a big one. We talk about that for the last 2 weeks, or from your nutrition or your diet. So because of that fact, I'm going to go into more about nutrition and diet for the next 2 weeks, because I think that's a big thing that we can do to offset some of the symptoms and also reduce the prevalence or the severity of the disorder. And so I know I won't cover everything in this week, so I'll cover some more of the studies next week. But let's first talk about some of the things that are inflammatory, and I'll cover more of this next week. The first thing is sugar. I think most people do now understand that sugar is not that great for us. However, it's very addicting. And I can speak for that myself, how addicting sugar is. And of course, we all love sugar, right? But stay away from any refined sugars. And that could be even white or brown sugar, your table sugar. High fructose corn syrup is a big one. Start looking on your labels. You're going to be surprised to see how much has high fructose, and that's fructose, corn syrup in it. Stay away from that product, okay? And then I'm going to go into more today. I'll come back to more of the inflammatory things to stay away from, but that's a big one. I wanted to throw that out there because I want you to get that going right away if you're not doing that, okay? Because that's a big issue, okay? There's people, and I know my daughter can attest to this, they just started eating more sugar and they see their symptoms get worse. So definitely look at that. The second thing is let's talk about some of the immune boosters because with autoimmune, we already talked about how your body is attacking your immune system. So your immune system is not able to defend itself. So you're going to need to have what we call immune boosters. Okay. So there's certain things you can put in your diet to help to boost your immune systems. And we're going to go down the list. There's several. One is trying to keep citrus fruits in your diet. So that would be things like that's high in vitamin C. That would be things like your oranges, your lemons, your limes, your grapefruit. And then you have some tropical fruits. Sometimes you can be careful with the tropical fruits, but you can do like the papaya or some of your melons. Okay. But like I said, those are more in moderation. And I also want to say this real quick before I forget. Please realize that there is nothing out there that is for everybody. So if you are having sensitivities to anything that you have tried and it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. You just cross it off your list and say, okay, well, that's not for me. Okay. But just know that a lot of these are proven to be good for most people and for quite a few people. And that's why they are in the studies. And that's why I'm talking about them because I have seen the results as well. Okay. The next category I would say would probably be your antioxidants, which are a lot of the anti-inflammatory effects as well. Ginger is one of those. You have turmeric, okay? And you can do ginger or turmeric fresh, or of course you can use it as you can buy it over the counter with some of your in your little seasoning department. But of course, the fresh will always be better, of course. And then you have your leafy green vegetables because they're usually high in your A, C, and E, and they work also have the antioxidant properties. That means that it helps to prevent your radical cells, which are breaking down a lot of your systems and your organs, and that's not good. It can cause things like cancer as well. So you want things like kale, your spinach, your collards, Swiss chard, your arugula, things like that. So your dark leafy green vegetables. And then we have probiotics. There's people who can't do yogurt. We're going to talk about that more next week when we do dairy. So there's other probiotics you can use. You can do things like fermented foods, such as in sauerkraut or kimchi. Okay. So anything that's a fermented product, it will serve as a probiotic. Because you got to remember, a lot of your immune cells are in your gut. So we have to have a healthy gut. So that's like one of the key things to and boosting your immune system. Okay. Let's see what else. Next one would be green tea acts as an antioxidant. Sometimes you have to be careful with green tea because sometimes it can make your heart like pound like crazy because it does increase your metabolism. I do use green tea a lot myself for metabolism effect. Hydration. Okay. So drinking plenty of water. I'm guilty of not doing enough of that. I'm trying to do more of that myself. So remember, increase your water intake. Water is going to definitely flush any toxins that are in your body, and your every cell, every organ needs water. So that's just going to be a given. And then we have collagen or bone broth. There's things to do the bone broth, but you need to do from the grass fed or the pasteurized poultry. Okay, those types of poultry or meat products contain not your antibiotics injections. Anything that's been having injections fast for antibiotics are not good for you. So stay away from those things. I know sometimes that stuff can be very costly, but I'm coming from the perspective of telling you what's best for you. Okay, but you have to be careful of your own budget. Okay. Fatty fish. So fatty fish can include anything that was salmon, and you have what you mean, like your sardines, mackerel. That's like your biggest fatty fish. Okay. So those are great for antioxidant effect as well. And I'm just going to say this, just keep remembering that this is only one factor. This is something that you got to continually do all ongoing. Okay. So that's in addition to your stress relieving issues, trying to go over the stress list of reducing your stress. Also, you're exercising. You have to exercise your movement to get the circulation going, to get the lymphatic system moving. So all these things work together. All these things are going to help to boost your immune system. Okay. So I don't want to take up too much more time. I guess I will go over more next week of some of the things that you should not do, whatever I did not cover today. I'm going to bring on my guest today. I have a guest coming on with Kim. Kim, as I mentioned, Kim is going to bring a lot of wealth of information, and she does have 2 autoimmune disorders. Well, hello there. We have Kim joining us today, and I'm so excited to have her on today. Kim, thank you for joining.
You're welcome.
So we're doing this series on autoimmune disorders, and I wanted you to come on because I was talking to you and you said that you did have an autoimmune disorder. So since I don't know a whole lot about your start, your beginning of it, your diagnosis process and where you are with it, can you just give us an idea of when your symptoms started before you got a diagnosis and what type of symptoms you were having?
Yeah, sure. I had both Sjogren's disease and psoriatic arthritis and psoriasis.
Okay.
Is what I have. And I believe that I've had these things since I was a child.
Okay.
And the reason why I believe that is because I had joint issues as a child, but never really knew why I had it. I can remember doing gymnastics and my joints of my wrists would swell up and hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I also remember when I was in pregnancy, the joints in my wrist swelled up. I really hadn't done anything physical with them.
Right.
To the point where I would be throwing up because it was hurting so bad.
Oh, goodness.
Then it progressed to about 15 years ago. And I did not know really what was going on. I just thought they were one-offs. And about 15 years ago, I remember going to it stands in my mind because I was going to my uncle's house because he was dying. And so it was a very stressful time. He's 6 years older than I am.
Okay.
And so I've gone there to see him and my cheeks had swelled up. Basically, it was my parotid glands had swelled up to where I looked like I had chipmunk cheeks.
Wow.
And it wasn't feeling great, achy, joints hurt. So when I came back, I went to see my primary care doctor. And I'd done some research and I thought maybe I had Sjogren's. I had already been diagnosed with psoriasis. That was pretty apparent. That was not a difficult diagnosis for the dermatologist to make for me. But I went to the primary care doctor.
Let's just stop for 1 second because you're telling us a lot of good information. So I'm going to back up a little bit. So you said it was not a very hard diagnosis. So I want you, because the audience...
For the psoriasis.
Right, I got you. But the audience doesn't understand that process. So what was the symptoms that you felt and you went to the dermatologist and why they were so clear on that diagnosis? What was the indications?
Well, okay. So what had happened was my scalp was very inflamed, peeling, flaking. I had patches on my skin where it was reddened, peeling, itchy.
Okay.
And it was very clear when I saw the dermatologist. She took one look at it and said, "Oh, you have psoriasis."
Okay.
And so that's why that one was fairly easy to diagnose. The Sjogren's, on the other hand, when I went to see the primary care doctor for it, and I said, "I think I may have Sjogren's," and he's like, "Nah, no, I don't think so." Well, my cheeks were swelled, and I remember telling him it felt like I had eaten pickles, like dill pickles.
Wow.
Where my cheeks would just ache.
Wow.
And so he pretty much dismissed me.
Yeah.
With that. And so at that point, I was like, well, I didn't pursue it really. Yeah, that was on me because after that, I didn't pursue it.
Okay.
Now we go 10 years later. Now I'm still having these issues off and on throughout this time. 10 years later, I go to him and start talking again. Now I'm very fatigued. I have no energy to do anything. I've got brain fog. My joints hurt. My muscles ache. And I told him again, I said, "Are you sure I don't have Sjogren's?" And he's like, "Well, let's test you."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's when he decided to do the testing. And that's when I was diagnosed with Sjogren's.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then he referred me to see a rheumatologist,
Mm-hmm.
who I went to the rheumatologist with my test results, and they decided to start treating immediately.
Okay.
I wasn't quite on board with some of that at first,
Okay.
but as
And
time,
and why weren't you? What was the
well, because one of the medications was Plaquenil, and it can
Mhm.
cause issues with your eyes,
Okay.
which you don't want to lose your eyesight. But then
Right.
quickly realized was I'm still having all these symptoms, but I wasn't taking the medicine that they told me I should take. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started taking the Plaquenil,
Mm-hmm.
and now I wouldn't go without it.
Okay. Okay. So the Plaquenil really got you pretty much in what we consider to be remission for your
Pretty much. I still have flares. My parotid glands are still, they're still swollen.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing seems to really make that go resolve. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as the fatigue is concerned, that is pretty much
Mm-hmm.
um, it has much improved, I should
So
say.
so how about with the brain fog and the joints issue? Were they related to the Sjogren's as well?
Yes, it is. As far as that is concerned, I can go into flares, especially if I'm extremely stressed. I have a
Mm-hmm.
very stressful job, in which I actually did up until about a year ago, which I changed positions. I was supervising like 95 nurse practitioners at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've changed to a different company where now all I'm doing is seeing patients. And all of that has greatly improved since I got out from under all that stress.
Okay. Yeah, so we know for sure stress is a big factor in autoimmunes to bring it on as
Absolutely.
well as to expedite the progression of it as well. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So I'm glad to hear that you've had good results with the Plaquenil
Yeah.
because that's everybody can't speak to that right away. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So that's really good. So let me ask you something. So as far as the psoriasis goes, how is that being treated?
It's being treated with a medication, a biologic called Cosentix. So I
Can
have
you spell
two.
that one, please?
Yes, it's CosynTx.
Okay. Okay.
And it's two injections once a month.
Okay.
And recently I had a surgery where I had to stop it 2 weeks prior to surgery and not take it until 2 weeks after. And I'm
Okay.
happy to say that I did not have a flare during that period of time. I was
Sure.
really afraid I would, but
Yeah. Praise God for that. Yeah.
God for that. That's
Yeah.
right.
Praise God for that.
But
Okay.
it has really put my symptoms into remission as far as psoriasis is concerned.
Okay. So I'm happy to hear that you've had pretty good, but I think also too, with you being a nurse by trade, I think that does make a difference because a lot of people just don't have that medical background to even say to the doctors, well, I think you need to do this. And this is what I think. You know what I'm saying? They don't even have that type of knowledge.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true because most people can't go in there and say, "Hey, I think I have Sjogren's."
Exactly. Exactly. And the
Yeah,
very fact that still, even with you saying that 15 years ago, you still did not acknowledge it. So,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
I think when he saw how swollen my parotid glands were,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then he's like, "Oh, we need a test."
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
because
yeah,
they were really swollen.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dying.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, do you feel as if, because I think you've under control, which is a good thing, but do you feel as if at any point your ailments affected your ability to perform your job or affected your relationship with your family members or co-workers or anything of that sort?
Well, yes, yes. When I'm in a flare, there's some days that I'm at my desk thinking, I don't know if I can make it to the end of the day because of the
Mm-hmm.
fatigue
Mm-hmm.
and the aching and the brain fog. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when I'm in one of those at lunch, I have to go just lay down for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of eating, I will go lay down.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll fall asleep. I always set the alarm so I get back up on
Yeah.
time to see
Yeah.
my
Yeah. Yeah.
patients. But
Yeah.
there's are days when I'm like, I don't know if I can make it through this, but I
Yeah.
push myself and
Yeah.
make it through somehow.
Wow, wow, wow. So, and I guess sometimes it's kind of hard to ask this question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. Do you feel as if, because what I know about Sjogren's, it's also supposed to dry out other areas. So,
Oh, it dries up everything.
okay, so that's because you haven't spoken to that. I didn't want to hear
Right.
that
I
unless you
have
brought it up.
not. For me, it especially is an issue with dry mouth
Okay, okay,
and dry eyes.
okay,
That's where it has hit me the
okay.
worst.
But no other areas that are supposed to be with fluid areas at all?
It can in my lady parts.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know because I
Yes.
was trying to be discreet about that. But that's something with
Okay.
Sjogren's is supposed to be,
Yes.
yeah, affect all those areas. So how do you treat does the Plaquenil deal with that as well, the dryness and all those things?
Not so much as it
Hmm.
does the fatigue, the brain fog, and the achy muscles. However, I have found things that does help with my lady parts. There's a product called Refresh that you
Okay,
can buy over the counter,
okay,
which is
okay,
a cream.
okay,
It's a
okay,
vaginal cream
okay,
that you apply about 3 times a week.
okay,
So
okay,
that helps that issue tremendously.
okay,
Eye drops, I do use Zydra
okay,
eye drops.
okay.
That those are prescription that do help with dry eyes, and
Mhm.
then I supplement it with Refresh Plus eye drops during the day.
Okay, okay.
When it's feeling dry, and sometimes during the winter time is the worst. Like
Mhm.
now, when you're
Mhm.
running your heat,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
summertime when it's very humid out, it's
Mhm.
not as bad as it
Mhm.
is in the winter.
Okay.
So, as far as dry mouth is concerned, I drink a ton of water. A
Okay.
ton.
Well, at least we
And
get,
that is helpful.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes, like lemon drops
Lemon drops. Okay, yeah.
will
Okay.
help. That's
Uh-huh.
something like that that can stimulate the saliva flow.
That's very interesting. I'm glad you're sharing that because I'm quite sure there's going to be people that are going to be blessed by that. I'm quite
Yeah.
sure you're in a Sjogren's support group. So, have you had any other people that have not had such good results with other medications treating Sjogren's, or has it been pretty smooth with them as well, for the most part?
Is that people in my support group?
Yeah, in the groups that that have
Yeah.
children, have you
Well,
seen across the board where they're, I'm not to cut you off, but just trying to get a better consensus because that's something that I don't come across children as much as some of the other ones. And so I'm just wondering whether you're like one of the exception to the rule that you've had such good results with Plaquenil right away, or there are other people out there who struggle with finding a medication that brings them into what we call, so to speak, remission or
yeah.
more dormant. Have you run across that at all?
Yeah. I have run across where people have a rough time getting a diagnosis,
Okay, okay,
even though they have all the symptoms of
okay, okay,
Sjogren's.
okay.
Some of the doctors are demanding a lip biopsy in order to make that diagnosis.
What is that? Sorry, I'm not educated about that. What's that exactly?
It basically they take a sample of your lip tissue and
Interesting.
it will indicate whether Sjogren's is present or not. Also, there is or blood tests, but if your markers, which I'm not real clear about the marker thing,
Yeah.
but I do know if those markers aren't pretty much exact, they won't
Mhm.
diagnose you with Sjogren's, even though you have all the symptoms.
Hmm.
So some people first they have a difficult time, one, getting diagnosed,
Mm-hmm.
two, finding a doctor who will treat it because sometimes even the rheumatologists are saying that's not their specialty. They can't
Yeah.
treat it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they refer people to their primary care doctor, neurologist, cardiologist,
Mm-hmm.
rheumatologist,
Mm-hmm.
uh, anybody they can to
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to deal with it.
Oh, sure. Of course not, because it looks bad on them if they can't
Sure,
treat it.
it's true. And I mean, I was reading today, Sjogren's also affects your teeth because of your dry mouth.
Sure. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
reading today where this lady had gone to a new dentist, and the dentist noted and basically said, "You're not caring for your teeth."
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
lady's like, "But yes, I do care for my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I have Sjogren's."
Mm-hmm.
And the dentist said, "Well, I'm surprised your teeth hadn't all fallen out by now,"
Wow.
which was very upsetting to this
Wow.
person that this person would say something like that.
Exactly.
Knowing that, yeah, this is a problem. This is a medical issue.
Yes.
That she's doing the best she can.
Yeah. My gosh.
So also with that being said, I recommend that people with Sjogren's go to the dentist for cleanings every 3 months. Don't do it every 6 months. You need to be doing it every 3 months.
Okay, that's good information. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That seems to help me. And I've seen it help a lot of other people as well.
Okay. Wow. You are definitely sharing some great information there. So how often is the lip tissue biopsy done?
It's just done once. Once for the diagnosis.
Okay. So pretty much is that one of the like gold standards?
Yes.
To do that? Okay, really?
Yes. And some people don't want it. I was reading earlier today, and I don't know what happens, that it can cause some issues with your mouth down the road because I've had this biopsy done, and I don't know exactly what it causes. So because of this, some people don't want the lip biopsy. I have seen pictures of it, and it's very disfiguring to your face to have had this lip biopsy done, because your mouth and your lip becomes so swollen from it.
And it doesn't go down?
Well, it does eventually. I don't know if it always, I don't know if it totally resolves.
Wow, that's interesting.
But yeah, so some people don't want that. They're like, I have the symptoms, I have some of the markers, and I want to be treated.
Yeah. And then, like you said, some of them still won't treat them though. So yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, so.
And so then that's the issue.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of frustration.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, I'm glad that you're at least on the right track, and then you're able to provide some good input for others, because that's what this is all about. Let's Achieve Change is just trying to educate the public, make people more aware of things that's going on that they don't know about. Let's just keep on trying to educate and inform and inspire, help people those along the way. That makes such a world of a difference. And I'm just so glad that I've come across you with this, because like I said, I've taught kids for years on pathology and anatomy. And so I've taught it to children, but I really can't say I have had anybody that I have really treated with it over the years. And I'm just trying to think about that. And I can't really say that I have, other than teaching it, but not actually treating it. So
they call Sjogren's lupus's nasty little sister.
Interesting. Oh, interesting. I like that.
You think of it that way. That's what it is.
That's the way to think of it. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Well, anything else you want to add? I know you had one bad experience with one PCP. Anything else you want to add? I know that we're probably going to bring you on at some later date and talk to you in more detail about some other things. I think that you have a lot more to add about patient advocacy and things that are going on in the medical profession that we need to address. I think we'll bring you on for another interview. But anything else you want to add to this particular segment? Or I'm asking this question, and sometimes it could be a little bit morbid, but I need to give a title to your chapter. So if I had to give a title to your chapter, what would you say describes you in reference to either this disorders or you as a person? What would you say would be your epitaph?
Oh, let's see. I think that this has been probably one of the most challenging things that I've had to deal with is these autoimmune diseases.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I preach a lot, one day at a time. You only can do today. You do today, and you don't worry about tomorrow. So
I want you to give me a sum up of an epitaph for you. So which one are you going to go with? So, for example, if Charles was, he knows you. So if he heard this, say, yeah, that describes Kim. For example, I say a lot. It is what it is. I say that a whole lot. So what would be something that really stands out about you that you may say, or that particular statement or slogan or whatever? Oh, I think that just a statement would be, we do this one day at a time. We do this one day at a time. I like that. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Have a blessed one, okay? Thanks again, Kim, for coming on. As I mentioned, Kim provided us with some great information, and I'm hoping that you guys can benefit from that information about Sjogren's and psoriatic arthritis. Also, too, remember, like I said earlier, If you're finding that you're having symptoms and you have not gotten the diagnoses, don't be afraid to request further testing. Don't be afraid to switch physicians if you need to switch physicians, okay? And remember, if you feel as if you want to tell your story, if you know someone else want to tell their stories, you can get in touch with us on our website at pamelagrove.com or changeachieve.com and submit your email and information, and we will get in touch with you about doing an interview as well. Thanks again, and until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in today at Let's Achieve Change. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You will find out more about Metanoia Education and Wellness Center on our website at changeachieve.com. We welcome your questions and your feedback. Please feel free to fill out the form on the website and we will contact you directly. I pray that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. Remember, it's all about the change. Thank you.